What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to FBA Capital. And today I'm bringing you guys another weekly market breakdown on none other than NAS100. Without further ado, let's get right on into it. First thing we're going to do is we're going to start off on the higher time frame. So if you guys remember from last week, this was the analysis I had. I was reaching for this high in which price didn't necessarily run through, but we ended up closing for the week around the same area and price. So that's something that you can learn from, because if you go back to the last week's market review, you're gonna see me explain why I thought price was gonna do this, how I explained price was gonna have a retracement, and then why I explained this was going to be my target. But with that being said, we're gonna get rid of all of that, and we're going to go to the weekly time frame. First things first, we're gonna mark up these weekly highs and weekly lows. So we got the weekly low all the way down here. Then we got the weekly high all the way up here, and this is where the market ended up having its closing price. So the week ended where it closed at. The weekly high is the weekly closure, if that makes sense. So now that we have this week, first things first, where is price more than likely going to reach for? First thing I notice is we have this fair value gap on the weekly time frame. We cleared these highs. Now the next area price more than likely going to reach for is in between these areas and price. So we got a fair value gap from here to here that price is more than likely going to have a reaction from. Now let's see if there's any major price levels between these areas. First thing I notice is we have 14,000 right above the fair value gap, which could potentially get tapped into. We have 13,800 right here. I'll fix all these a little bit. Then we have 13,500 right here, just like that. And then we also have this fair value gap right here. So now we're going to start to think of what could potentially happen this week. Overall, I'm more than likely bullish based off the previous week being bullish, and I have a few areas in price that I more than likely want to see price make its run for, such as 13,800 in this fair value gap to be filled. And also what I'm going to do is I'm going to be pulling a fib from this weekly high to this low. And if you don't know where I drew it from this high, the start of this down move that we're currently in, to this low before price started to have its retracement. As you can see, we're in that 62%, and that 70.50% is right here at 13,800, right where this 13,800 level is, and right at that fair value gap. And then the 79% is right here at 14,100. Even though it's not one of the ideal areas in price I like to try to take my trades off of, because it's not one of my major levels, nonetheless it is a big figure level that is more than likely going to have a reaction whether I like it or not. So let's just get these price levels perfect. We got 14,100. Oh, didn't mean to do that. We got 14,100 right there. We got 14,000 right here. We have 13,500, and we have 13,800. Those are the major areas in price that we are currently close to. I'm not going to mark up, say, 14,800, because the likelihood of price going up to there this week is highly unlikely. Even with 14,000, the likelihood of it going that high is going to be not as high. My major target right now is 13,800, because I think that is a good weekly target. So now we're going to make our way down to the daily time frame. So like I said, we had these fair value gaps that need to be filled up here, and we have 13,800. How would price want to make its way up there? First thing I notice is, since price is bullish, we're ideally going to wait for a retracement. Now we have these 3 down daily candles that price is likely to try to make a run down into. Also keep in mind we have 13,500 right here, and we did have a major rejection. So in my opinion, something we can see early on in this week is maybe see a retracement to come down into these areas to fill in this fair value gap that we had on that weekly time frame to the downside, before potentially pushing to 13,800. Now that doesn't necessarily have to happen, because price is extremely bullish, and for all I know, when the market opens, it can have a small pullback and just keep on pushing to this area. And if it does push up to 13,800 early on into the week, from there I'm going to be then watching out for a potential drop, because I know that we're in an area of extreme discount. Not discount, we're in an area of premium, meaning the price is high, and if we're going to be looking to go short, more than likely it's going to happen within these areas. And another thing I'm noticing is we have these 2 last down candles right at this fair value gap. So there's just a lot of confluence in this area, and that is why I'm going to be looking for a price to reach for that area. So now that we have our overall analysis based off of higher time frame on what I personally think could potentially happen, or price could have a small pullback like this, like I said, and then continue to push higher. This is what I think is going to happen on the weekly and higher time frame perspective. Now we're going to make our way down to that 15-minute and look at it on an intraday perspective. First thing we're going to do is we're going to mark up Thursday's Asian session range. And if you don't know why I do that on every weekly markup, is because Friday closes before we can start the Asian session. So there is no Asian session range for us to annotate from Friday. So I use Thursdays, but I do like to use Friday's previous day's high and previous day's low, because that is what where the liquidity is going to lie. Yes, there is going to be liquidity below this low, but there is no liquidity above this previous day's high from Thursday because Friday ran that high. So we're going to annotate that. We got the previous day's high up here, and then we got the previous day's low all the way down here. Now, what is likely to happen? Based off the higher time frame, we were looking around 13,500 and around that, I say, 13,300 area. So we're going to keep that in mind. So I'm going to mark up the previous day's high and previous day's low with this eclipse. I'm going to be drawing a fib permit. So from this low to this high is where we got our fib. I'm going to get the 38.20% level also. First thing I see is right at this 38.20% level, we have these last two down candles, which could be classified as an order block. Potentially, we could get a reaction off this area. So that's something I want to watch out for. And also, that is around that 500 level. It's not right where it is, but it's in the same general area. And a lot of times you can maybe see a wick come into this and it hold 500. But that's something I just want to keep in mind. And I'm also looking down at this area down here in which we have these fibs also in confluence with 13,400 right in here. So that 13,300 was the area that I was ideally looking for. So in my opinion, if price wants to continue on the bear side, we're more than likely going to want to run the previous day's low and have a reversal Monday or Tuesday. But if we don't get that, then I think the likelihood of price continuing to move higher and have a small pullback instead of a major pullback is going to be far more likely than unlikely, in my opinion. Because based off the higher time frame, I would want to see price go a little bit lower, and I wouldn't want it to ideally hold 13,400. If it does, then more than likely we're just going to continue in that upwards direction. But as of right now, there's two scenarios based on the lower time frame that I can potentially get. Something similar to these two setups right here, based off of a continuation of the previous week's trend and an anticipation that we just continue as a continuation. Now, if we do make our way down to that 300 level, we might have situations where we reverse, come down to these levels and clear these previous days low, along with maybe the Asian session low over here, before potentially maybe having that push to the top side later on into the week again. There's a few things that could happen, but at the end of the day, when you do these weekly market breakdowns, you're never going to know exactly what's going to happen. You just want to give yourself an idea on what to expect, such as last week. Even though I didn't have the best trading week, I was able to map out what was likely to happen throughout the week. And even though I wasn't able to capitalize on every single move that I did predict, it is what it is. You're only going to get better over time. And also, another thing that I'm noticing at this fib level is we have this last down candle before this up move right in this 13,400 area. So these are going to be two main areas that I'm watching out for on the lower time frame. Even though I'm not going to be trading today, and I might not trade tomorrow, depends on the opportunities that the market gives me. We're going to see what we can get. I'm watching these two areas here. If these hold, then more than likely we'll have that continuation that I was talking about, like this. And if this doesn't hold, we may have a continuation here. And if that doesn't hold, more than likely price is going to continue to the downside, and we're going to have a deeper retracement and try to fill in maybe these fair value gaps that we had from last week, where that CPI news left a big old gap right down here that we could potentially see price try to fix now or sometime soon. Here, get rid of this one, just like that. So that could be something that potentially happens also. Don't know for sure, but as of right now, that is my predictions on what I personally think is going to happen this week on NAS100, based off higher time frame analysis and lower time frame analysis. Now we just got to keep in mind, is there going to be any news events this week? And while I'm still here, I will check for you guys. So this week we have news on the 16th, which is Tuesday. We have news on Wednesday, and then we have news on Thursday, and then no news for the rest of the week. These are going to be our high impact news. So Tuesday 8:30, Wednesday 8:30, and we have FOMC on Wednesday also, but that will be later on in the day, but that could definitely affect something. And then we have Thursday 8:30 and 10 o'clock. So Thursday's a little more than likely going to be a potential reversal day or continuation day, so that's something to watch out for. But like I said, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, those are going to be our main days that we're going to have most of the volatility, more than likely. So that's something to keep in mind. But with that being said, appreciate everyone for watching this video. If you found it helpful in any way, shape, or form, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. If you haven't already, make sure you also check out the episode 1 of my podcast that I do with my friend Achilles. If you haven't already, I dropped some valuable gems, even though I didn't go too in depth about certain things. It was just the first test stream, so nonetheless the content is going to continue to come. So with that being said, appreciate everyone for watching. Stay tuned, stay productive, and I'll see you all in the next video.